Hi, my name is Ali. This is Jenny, Leotis, and Mujaba is at the back. And we are collectively revered as experts in seniors care and dementia, having a lot of experience in that area, but also Android programming and having a lot of fun. And so today, we're here to tell you about a multi-dimensional platform that we started to build at this hackathon, but we'd like to kind of phase out over a period of time afterwards. The platform itself will serve as a leading platform and a solution that will basically preserve quality of life, improve improve security, and promote safety, but really preserve independence. And our go-to-market strategy is really to kind of seed our solution in the industry with this first solution. And this first solution is what we like to call Clarity. Clarity is a simple, easy to use, innovative, smart calendar queuing function for seniors with dementia, either kind of going from early to mid-stage cognitive impairment. And through this device, we're hoping to basically accomplish three outcomes. The first is that older adults can remain in control of their own schedules and routines by being able to actually input key items of their day. But for any reason, if they forget those things or need some help, a caregiver can remotely input into this calendar or this queuing function. 2, any variations or deviations from their regular schedule, i.e. if they don't acknowledge that they need to take a shower, there'll be an alarm that will come up, and it will actually alert a caregiver that these actually haven't happened. Therefore, they can call grandma and say, hey, what's going on? Are you doing okay? And this will really address one of the key problems with dementia, which is the area of safety and well-being of the person suffering from the disease. Should I pause for a second? You guys are good?
Before we get to the final point, the third point of what it's going to do, we just wanted to run a little bit through the app. So it doesn't look as pretty as maybe some of the other apps that have been presented, but we kept it simple, 1, for time, and 2, because we really wanted to point out the customization of it. So we picked yellow, and we personalized it. You could choose to have a child, your grandson, you could have voice, whatever it is that you want the messaging to come. So the message will come and it'll say, Grandma, it's time for your brain exercises, because that's what's been on the schedule. If she doesn't acknowledge it and say, okay, it'll stay on, and you can, again, set further alarms to make noise, something to draw our attention. Perhaps the tablet's in the kitchen and she's in the living room or somewhere else. So she would come, and if she doesn't say okay within a designated time, then a message would be sent to her daughter. So again, that's an option. On the original calendar, there were several different things that were happening during the day. So you're not going to send an alert for everything that you do, but there are certain things that you may want to send an alert for. So when the alert goes, then the daughter could call, and mom might say, oh, I was just talking to your aunt. I'm going to get to that right away. It may be, I'm not feeling very well, at which point she would probably want to come and check on mom and maybe catch that there's something going on. And if she doesn't answer at all, then that, of course, would be a concern to go and see her. If she does say okay, I guess it's pulling back up on the screen. If she says okay, then it actually directly goes to her games of choice. So it links into existing apps that are already on your program. So whether it's, I want to go FaceTime and that's scheduled into my schedule, it would go to that. Again, the schedule will depend on what activities that you want to do at the earlier stages, and we're really targeting the mild cognitive impairment to early dementia people, is that we are looking at tasks that they need to remember. Certainly you can add further detailed task as a person progresses, but often that may need the caregiver to help them along with that. Now, when there's a new task that isn't something part of their regular schedule, there are options such as a countdown feature. So for some patients, they may want that ability to be reminded over and over again that, 2 hours from now, hey, Mom, I'm coming in 2 hours to pick you up for the doctor's appointment. Then 1 hour before, Mom, I'm coming in 1 hour. Then 10 minutes before, it'd be, Mom, I'm going to be there soon. Remember to bring your jacket, your pills, and your health card. So again, that's good for some people, not good for others, and you would customize it accordingly.
Cool. And one of the features that we're just showing here is that you can link into existing applications that may be part of the regular day that this older adult is already using. And so we can pull up those apps really easily, but it's a really simple touch where it reminds them and then directly goes to it without them having to use multiple switches and touch points to go there. The last part of this whole platform that's really important is the whole aspect of data aggregation. So the biggest part for us is making sure that through all of this, the different things that we're tracking, we're actually able to track the different behaviors, the different patterns that are happening with that specific adult. And all that data is aggregated in a way that we can look and tailor their care in the future. So if they come to a long-term care facility one day, we're able to pass on a lot of their routines, a lot of their behaviors, a lot of the really important parts that will enable proper care. But also through all this aggregation of data, we're able to actually use this in an anonymous form, in an aggregate level, to actually help the industry itself look at new solutions by tracking the progression of the disease and looking at possible unmet needs of this cohort. Ultimately, the larger vision for us is to be able to build out an entire platform. And sorry, that was just a symbol saying that they haven't actually showered. But I showered, it was just that hasn't showered. But the idea being that hopefully we can build an entire platform, and that platform would have kind of multiple parts. It would have kind of med reminders, it would have games, it would have communication, medical conditions, and it can go on to basically include as many things as we'd like to do in a very simple and easy format. Any questions?
Yeah, I enjoyed the presentation. It's not really a question, a comment. Like, given that you have such depth of experience within this is an industry, or just from a research perspective, it kind of validates to me that there's a need for something along the lines of this app, and it actually validates in a way a lot of the other presentations, because there's been a real overlap in terms of these reminder type apps, whether it's Task for Text and TIA and MindCheck and a couple others I recall on the go. So it really validates that there's got to be a big demand for this within this specific area.
I know that when we were going through the concept with both some of the patients with dementia yesterday and with some of the caregivers, and of course I'm a geriatrician, so these are the things that my patients and caregivers are asking for all the time, which is why we came with this. And everyone says, well, it's so simple, it's a calendar, right? And yet, when we talked about the functionality of it, I think some of the comments were, this will make a really big difference for someone's day-to-day life. And schedule is so critical. Like, I'll have people saying, I can't get my husband to shower, my mom to shower, Ali to shower. And if you set it in a specific time, those are the prompts that really will make a difference for a person. So it is customizable for them.
I just had a quick question, not so much to do with the end users in the home, but the data analytics part is clearly quite interesting, but potentially there's an obstacle or barrier with the sort of integrating your data into existing systems.
Right, and I do think that we did talk about whether or not we want to build out further, and there was the ambient sensor group that brought the different sensors. And the interest to us, even as a clinician, for example, is if you have those sensors and we see a pattern that a person is all of a sudden getting up at night and going to the washroom. For me, as a geriatrician, I'm thinking they're getting delirious, they're going to get confused, they're probably going to have a UTI or something. And clinically, what happens to those patients is no one really picks that up for 3 or 4 days. And the time I see them, they're quite advanced, and we have to work quite hard to get them back to their baseline. Whereas if we can use those types of sensors, whether it be built into the activities that they're doing, if there's a change in their activity, that's a trigger that we need to go and see that patient and make sure that they're okay.
And just one more thing, just from my background in long-term care, one of the biggest problems we have is we collect data on a bunch of different things. We collect almost no data from someone's life previous to entry. And so if we're able to actually bring some of those things, listen, this is the life history of this person. They like to have breakfast at 9 o'clock. Please don't wake them up at 7:30. They like to actually take a shower twice a week instead of 4 times a week. Please don't force them to take a shower. Those are things that can really impact quality of life of the seniors in a meaningful way. And those things get forgotten. In most systems across this country, we do not track this data for long-term care. It just gets lost. And so the integration part isn't as important on this as much as it is how do we actually impact care.
I see this as like a digital whiteboard. So I've seen people with like the handwritten lists of do all these things. So just thinking about feasibility though, like a tablet could be one way they might, but this is the center of their life all day. So what are some other ways you're imagining they're going to actually engage and see this information so it's actually ubiquitous?
Well, we built this on Android given kind of the limit of 24 hours, but we want to have this on basically any device. I mean, if you have something in the cloud, you can basically access it from multiple devices. So I think the biggest thing is to figure out what works for that individual. Is it a tablet? Is it a phone? Is it a watch? Or is there some other sort of device that may work for that individual? And even if you went down to paper, you could possibly look at ways in which you can work with a caregiver to do that. The biggest thing is helping them understand their schedule, but giving them control of their day. I know Jenny wants.
There are digital whiteboards as well, that maybe, like, you know, when you go to conferences and that type of stuff where they display what's going on today and it can be updated live. So you could put something like that, you know, the way my mom and my mother-in-law has their tablets is it's on a docking station on the kitchen table, and it's almost always there. So it's almost like a display rather than just floating about. So I think there's lots of opportunities for, again, whatever's easier. And, you know, we know there's someone coming up with some ideas around how to get devices like TVs. So.
Yeah.
So one of the things that would be really important for like what you're asking about is literally like notifications about things that they need to do, right? So for example, if I need to eat dinner, right, I should have notifications or sensors or like something that lights up in the kitchen to remind me to go do it if I don't do it, right? So something like that is possible through a system like this.
I guess the last thing I was going to say is that, you know, we're really serious about wanting to build this out after this and trying to find ways in which we can use our expertise towards actually doing something meaningful for this, regardless of